Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel for a brand new League Racing highlights video. Here today for round 5 of the RaceTech Season 1 Championship at Austria. And as I said, round 5, we've just passed the halfway stage in the championship. And as you can see on screen, we are currently P6 as Team TF10 in Season 1. Closing in on P5, Veloce Academy. I guess they didn't have a great run last time out after probably a high moment in Spa. So yeah, trying to narrow in on that top 5 and do a good job for the team as well as myself, obviously, today. But yeah, without further ado, we're heading into the first lap of qualifying. Feeling good in Austria. We've had good pace here on this game. Haven't necessarily executed all of the laps very well. But yeah, the pace is there, setup is okay at this phase in the game, and we're going to go for our first lap in Q1 here as we burn the battery down towards the first corner, tip the car in, missed the curb a little bit, got a bit of a slide. Obviously grip is a little bit low here in Q1, but yeah, the main thing is, as I keep stressing in these videos, is just get the lap in, keep it tidy. We don't need to be a hero from the first to the last lap in qualifying. We need to build and try and peak at the right time, basically. But as you can see, heading down to turn 4 here, spotting our braking zone can be quite tricky to get the car stopped. Sometimes with it being downhill braking, can lock the inside front, go a little bit deep. But we did that decently well. We got a little bit too much curb. But yeah, it's looking like enough so far. Not getting the bump through that second left-hander, which can lose you a lot of time if you get it by accident there. I don't know why you want to get on purpose, but anyways, heading through the last couple of corners now, getting a decent cut on the inside yet again, take it quite safe, and we cross the line for a 1 minute 2.8 to put us provisional pole in Q1. And yeah, that was more than enough to see us through to Q2. As you can see, we are P2 at the end of the session, only beaten by Bara Burmand, and our teammate follows us through in P9 there. So first job done, looking strong, and yeah, heading into our first lap of Q2 now. Well, it'll be our second attempt of Q2. We had to back out of the first one after a botched first corner, I believe. But yeah, we're going again now. We have plenty of fuel, plenty of tyres, plenty of everything in Austria, plenty of time as it's a short circuit. So yeah, going to go for this lap and see what we can do as Nicolas Longue goes to the top with a 1 minute 2.6. And yeah, heading into turn 3 here, flicking the car in, hit the apex nicely there and on the throttle fairly well. Maybe a little bit hesitant through the hairpin in the session, but yeah, looking good as we head down the hill here once again for turn 4. A little bit deep, but yeah, just about getting the car rotated and heading on to the medium high speed part of the lap now as we head through the double left-hander here. Try not to get the bump. Once again, we do that fairly well, and we're picking up time now as we get the supposed purple middle sector. You never know on the F1 game, but as we tip it in now for the last couple of corners, don't screw it up now. You've done the hard work, just finish the lap strong. We're a little bit safe there through the last corner, but we head up to the line for a 1 minute 2.7. Not a great time, not a great lap. Probably should have gained a little bit more than a tenth from Q1 to Q2. But yeah, we're through P5. Unfortunately, we lose our teammate for the sake of 1,000th there. Set the same time as Jensen, but just set it after him. So yeah, unlucky for him. He'll do his best from P11. But we're focusing on us now, heading through the last couple of corners of our first Q3 lap. We have 3 sets of tyres to use. But unfortunately, our first set is wasted as we invalidate in the last corner on a 1 minute 2.5. Would have been a decent banker to get in there. Obviously wouldn't have gained a lot from going off, but you know, it is what it is. Same rules for everyone. And we'll go again now for our second out of our 3 attempts now, as we've managed to save plenty of tyres from Q1 and Q2. Heading through the first corner, a little bit of a slide, but fairly clean as we head up towards turn 3 here at the top of the hill, and we do a 6 flat first split. Not a great split for the first sector. We weren't really nailing that first corner in this session. Unfortunately, it can make or break your lap sometimes. As you can see, we're half a tenth up on our 0.5, so it's going quite well until that slide. We just got a little bit greedy, pushed a bit too hard, and we lose all of the delta that we'd worked so hard to gain as we head through the first of the double left here. And as you can see, we've gone from half a tenth up to half a tenth down pretty much, heading towards the last couple of corners. But we know that there's still time on the lap and we still can match our 0.5, but it won't be on this lap. We lose the back end through the second to last corner, we lose a further tenth of a second, and it is only 0.7 there for a provisional P7 after those rounded laps. So yeah, we've got work to do now heading into our last lap of Q3. Hopefully we can make it a good one to challenge for pole position, or at least the first couple of rows here heading to turn 1. Again, not really executing the cut as well as we would have liked, getting a little bit of a bounce, bit of a slide, and losing a couple of hundredths here heading up the hill. Once again flicking the car in, super aggressive there on the wheel, but we get a decent run through there, but we lose a tiny bit on our previous best. We're kind of matching it, to be fair, but as we head into turn 4 we know there's a lot of time to get in here, flicking the car in, maybe a little bit too early on the brakes that time. We were kind of mounting the curb a little bit too much there, but we still gain that half a tenth back that we lost last time. And heading through the first of the left-handers, we get a little bit again. We get the bump though through the second left-hander, and we're now starting to leak time as we head towards the last couple of corners. We're going to tip the car in here. What do we get a little bit of a better run through there, decent run through the last corner, a little bit safe, and we only do a 1 minute 2.6, and that is only enough for a P6 on the grid for the Austrian Grand Prix. Gutted, really gutted with that. It was such a strong start to Q1 and a solid banker without the last corner.
I just want to finish this race quickly so I can have my
gutting. But as you can see, we've got a rain-affected race here today in the Austrian hills. We've had to make our setup basically on the grid. We had no wet preparation done, unfortunately, so we're going to have to try and roll with the punches now in these damp conditions and wait till the dry. But there's 5 red lights now. There's lights out and away we go for the Austrian Grand Prix. Do we get a good launch? We get a decent launch. We're going to have to tuck in behind the likes of Istvan Pukki here into the first corner. But as you can see, someone charging down the inside. I think that was Jensen Rosen there. Yeah, I guess he completely missed his braking zone and he goes tumbling down a couple of places once again. Lost us a little bit of momentum through the first corner, but we're just going to pick our line now. It might be a little bit of a blessing that we lost a bit of time there, because it allows us to pick our line. And whilst Nicholas and Istvan were kind of running into each other in turn 3 there, we picked our line, went round the outside, and we're up into P5 now, heading down the hill into P4. Unfortunately, Istvan goes very deep, forces us out there. I guess trying to get himself acquainted with the wet conditions. We're not though. We're going to go down the inside, and we make our apex, and we are back into P5. Unfortunately, an apex that wasn't made was this one, and we're kind of just trying to get used to the conditions here. And yeah, hopefully our setup is working, because we've obviously done no laps. We've just made it on the grid. But heading into the second to last corner, we go wide in the dirty air of Ismail Fassi in front of us. And, yeah, not feeling very confident in these conditions off the start of the race. We normally feel very good in the wet, 9 times out of 10. But today, unfortunately, it felt like the 1 out of 10 where we didn't. As you can see, skipping on to lap 3, the top 2 of Barry Burman and Jan Halliday are escaping here. We're losing half a second a lap at the moment. We're just trying to stay with the likes of Nicolas Longue and Ismail Fassi here, just stay at 9/10 at the moment, but we're in no way comfortable. As you can see, ending lap 5, Bari does a 13.3, I think it was. We do a 6, so yes, slowly starting to get acquainted with the conditions, but yeah, still not really nailing it. Skipping on to lap 7 now, 1.5 seconds behind Ismail Fassi and Nicolas Longue here, but we noticed we were losing a little bit more time on the first part of the lap, but through the twists and turns and the long corners of the second and third sector, we were starting to gain it back. So yeah, we weren't getting too worried about the gaps. It was kind of toing, throwing the gap up and down. As you can see, the gap is now back down to 1.0, and we're just trying to bring this gap down for when the DRS is enabled. As you can see, Bari does 12.4, I think it was, and we do a 12.6. So we're just trying to match that pace at the moment of the front runners. As you can see, Nicholas Longate dives into the pits. He thinks it's time for the dry tyres. The rest of us carry on. Apart from, interestingly, Istvan Pukki diving into the pits, as well as Nicholas's teammate as well for the double stack. They must have been really sure that was the lap to box. But me and Ismail are responding the next lap. Jan and Bari stay out as they have the gap to respond anyway, and they'll be able to have lap fresher tyres for the rest of this stint now. But yeah, pulling into the box now. Let's see how well we've been able to overcut against the likes of Istvan and Nicholas Longa here, emerging just behind Ismail as you'd expect. As you'll be able to see on the left though, Nicholas has managed to maintain his track position. And we stay
be careful for the broken points.
To a similar gap to Istvan as well. So yeah, I don't think there was any sort of advantage or disadvantage of going one on that lap or the previous one, but we will have one lap fresher tyres now to the likes of Nicholas and Istvan for the rest of this stint. So that's a positive. We're going to try and burn the battery now, make sure we stay within the DRS of Ismail here. We're at 5/6 tenths heading into turn 4 as the DRS is enabled, but as you'll be able to see through here, as we go to get on the throttle, we completely wash out wide. The tyres did not bite at all, and we go from 5 to 6 tenths to 8 tenths in the space of 1.5 corners there. And you'll see that moment was very critical. Those 2 tenths that we lost as we head on to the end of this lap. We are completely out of battery as we were burning it a lot in the interperiod to try and stay with these guys. Take it very gingerly through these last couple of corners. We have lost the DRS of Ismail, and he's burning his battery to get it back from Nicholas Longay here. And once again, crossing the DRS line, we are not in, and we have no battery to respond with. As you can see, skipping on a little bit later, we let the likes of Istvan Pukki go here. Our aim is to work with him
making an overtake without hitting something,
and try and get back towards the top 4 here. Bar and Jan have now responded and are still holding P1 and P2 in this race. As you can see, we didn't really swap very well there, very effectively with Istvan, and we lost another half a second or so. And skipping on a lap or so later, yet again, we've lost another second, sort of sitting behind Istvan as we've sort of charged our battery up. So we're going to go for the move here. Up the hill, we need to try and start clawing some time back. Istvan turns the battery off, lets us go. He knows we need to work together if we have any chance of pulling off more than a P4 and a P5 in this race. Sorry, a P5 and a P6 in this race. But yeah, the gap is currently 3.3 to the back of that train, and we'll be trying our best to swap effectively with Istvan here and try and pull these guys in. But it's not going to be easy, as the leaders of this train are obviously very fast in their own respect and have a lap fresher tyres. But as you can see, VSC is out for an incident down in the midfield, and half a lap later it is ending. We're going to be super careful on the delta, don't need to get a 10-second penalty for speeding under it. We're 6 tenths safe, but as you can see, heading into the hairpin, someone who was even more safe it seems was Ismail Fassi, as we gained 3 tenths to him under that VSC. And yeah, the gap is now down to 2.6 as we end lap 16 here, and we set the fastest lap of the race briefly before being displaced by Istvan Pukki and our DRS here. Gap down to 2.5, 2.6, end of lap 17, the gap is down to 2.2. So we are closing in here, slowly but surely, as we approach the pit window for our second stop. For another set of hard tyres, but we are running low on battery now, so we need a little bit of support from Istvan here if we are going to have a chance. We turn our battery off. Maybe this was a bit of a mistake by me, a little bit. He was quite far back. We should have maybe let him go on this next straight to try and minimise the time loss. As you can see, the gap is now back up to 3.2 to us, and just under 3 seconds to Istvan. But skipping on to lap 22 now. The likes of Jan Halliday and Ismail Fassi go for the undercut on Bari
We have
Buraman.
3 laps and
We continue.
hopefully catch up.
We're going to go for a bit of an overcut here, try and have a tyre advantage to try and have any chance of pulling these guys back in the last stint. As you'll be able to see, we're skipping on to lap 25 here. Istvan's made his stop, and Bari and I are going into the pits now. Something I should have mentioned, under the VSC, Nicholas Longue made his pit stop, so he wanted to go for that time game for the sake of, you know, a bit of a compromise, obviously gaining time under that VSC to make a cheap pit stop, but now he'll be on older tyres heading towards the end of the Grand Prix. So let's see if that strategy can work out for him. He is in the lead of the race, but only just from the likes of Ismail Fassi and Jan Halliday, as myself and Bari Buraman emerge from the pits a little bit far behind. But yeah, as you'll be able to see, we are still within Istvan's DRS, who made the 1 lap undercut on us, and unfortunately for him, he has a 13-second penalty now after that pit stop. 3 seconds presumably for track limits, and a further 10 for speeding into the pit lane. So unlucky for him, but at least for us, it's a position we don't really need to worry about. Obviously he'll still be trying to push on, not trying to lose too many places with that penalty, and yeah, we're obviously trying to push on to try and close in on that top 4, 3.7 to Nicholas Longue, who's been passed and dropped by that top 3. So it looks like his strategy hasn't worked whatsoever in that TRT squad, unfortunately for them, and we'll be looking to overtake Istvan, burn the battery down, and try and close in on Nico to make that move heading into the last 7 laps of this race. But yeah, 6 seconds to Bari now, 5 seconds to Bari, sorry, and as we skip on a little bit longer, the gap has come down to 3.2 to that lead train. So yeah, the pace is looking good. Unfortunately, Bari's got to the lead of that train now, and they'll start to circulate at a bit of a better pace with those fresher tyres, and unfortunately we're kind of catching Nico at a little bit of a bad time. We've not got a lot of charge, obviously half a battery is still not terrible by any means, but I didn't want to burn the whole battery to try and maybe go for a move into turn 4, so we decided to save the battery. But as you'll be able to see through the rest of this lap, this may have been a mistake to sit behind Nico here. Obviously he's really struggling on these old tyres, and we're leaking time to the top 3, so any kind of opportunity to close these guys down in the last couple of laps is disappearing through this lap, and even if they get a 3-second penalty, we are not within that window now. So yeah, we've managed to charge our battery up at least, and we're looking for a move heading on to this next DRS straight. Unwise to go for a move into the first corner. Could have easily kind of got it done, but it's much easier to go here on the run up to turn 3. Istvan will easily follow us through, and now the gap is 4.3 to Jan Halliday. We've lost about a second of race time there, unfortunately. We have got a full battery, or now we're burning that battery down, but yeah, probably wasn't worth losing that 1 second there. And yeah, we'll see what we're in for the rest of the race. Heading on to the end of lap 32 now, the gap is back down to 3.6. So yeah, trying to get within that penalty range. We don't know what the top 3 have been doing, if there's been any incidents, any collisions, maybe some penalties up ahead. But as you can see, Bari has turned up the wick now in the last couple of laps, and now dragging them along to a nice pace. And we're just going to let Istvan go here, recharge our battery for one final push at the end. Obviously we know we're not really competing with him, and you know, he's struggling a little bit on pace today himself as well. So we're just going to charge our battery up for the last lap, and see if we can go on a push to try and at least be within 5 seconds of the leaders when we finish this race. Getting a little bit of a squirm out of that first corner, but we're just going to burn the battery down now. Istvan knows there's no point fighting this. He wants to have the most efficient end to this race as possible. He's about 9 seconds in front of Nico, so it doesn't look like he's going to be beating him, even though he's on very dead tyres. He'd have to lose another 4 seconds to Istvan on this last lap, which I don't see happening. But yeah, heading through this last lap, just going to be burning the rest of the battery, trying to bring this gap down. It's 5.5 at the moment. See if we can get it under 5 seconds here, just in case the likes of Jan Halliday has any kind of penalty here. But yeah, just a couple of moments through that race and through the qualifying as well that probably cost us today. Firstly, that Q3 nightmare, not getting a clean lap in, probably starting a row or two down on where we should have been, and then missing that DRS on Ismail as the on that first outlap on slicks. Yeah, those two moments kind of killed our race today, and we only come home P4 at the end of the Austrian Grand Prix. Ferrari pick up a 1-2 with Jan Halliday on the podium there, and unfortunately our teammate, after a difficult qualifying, had a difficult race as well, only down in P14. So yeah, a little bit of a difficult race for both of us. Obviously P6 to P4, it's not a disaster, but it's obviously not what we were after at the same time. So yeah, it is what it is. You know, we're staying consistent, always sort of knocking on the door of the top 5, but we want more. We want podiums, we want wins. And but yeah, that was it for the Austrian Grand Prix today, guys. And next race, I believe, is Saudi Arabia, and definitely one worth tuning in for. I'll tell you that much, and nothing more, for a positive race and result, hopefully coming soon with that one. I've been enjoying that track a little bit more in this game. It's been a little bit of a bogey track for me in the past, but yeah, it's gelling well with me on this game. But yeah, enough waffling. I hope you very much enjoyed this video, and I'll see you for next one. Take care and peace out.